Peoria Schools remains committed to providing an in-person learning opportunity for our students. But we will always be committed to ensuring that our schools are a safe place to learn and work. We continue to monitor our state and local community health data and balance that with the academic, social, and emotional needs of our students and staff. To create this balance, we are using a set of factors provided to us by Maricopa County as a tool for us to use as we keep our schools open to in-person learning. These factors include things like community spread and the academic and emotional well-being of students and staff, but they also include site COVID cases, outbreaks, and the percent of cases within a school. We will continue to monitor the absentee rate of students and staff and what impact quarantining and isolation are having on our classrooms and the learning that is taking place. As I work with building principals, their leadership teams, our COVID response team, and Maricopa County public health experts, it is important for our community to understand that if we determine that we need to pause in-person learning in a classroom, a grade level, or even a school, we will. I continue to stress to our community the importance of wearing masks, hand washing, staying at home when you're not feeling well, and now the importance of getting vaccinated. I want to thank the state of Arizona and Maricopa County for prioritizing teachers and school staff in the vaccination process, and it will have a positive impact on our ability to continue to support our commitment to in-person learning. These are very difficult times, and as our community spread data continues to rise, the anxiety of being a staff member, a student, and a parent rises with it. Thank you for supporting our mitigation efforts and for supporting teachers and staff as they work every day to care for our children. And as always, thank you for choosing Peoria Schools.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this evening's board meeting. We'll call this meeting to order at 6 o'clock p.m. Ms. Underhill, do you mind guiding us in the Pledge of Allegiance this evening? Perfect. And for a moment of silence, I'd like, for each one of us to just hold in our hearts and our thoughts individuals that you feel that you want to send some positive vibes out to. So, Ms. Underhill. Thank you, Ms. Underhill. Moving on to 3.1, address the agenda and consider adoption or recommend changes. Does any board member wish to make any changes to this evening's agenda? Ms. Hill? Bill? Right. Ms. Pingarelli?
President Sandoval, you want to address that we have consent under this item as well? So tonight, this is an action item.
With that said, if there are any items that a board member would like to pull from the consent agenda, let's please voice those now. Ms. Hill?
None at this time.
Okay. Mr. Sorensen?
No.
Okay. Ms. Underhill?
No, I'm good, thank you.
All right. Ms. Pingarelli? Okay. I don't have any to pull either. So that said, we do need to need a motion to approve the agenda, which includes the consent agenda for this evening.
I move to approve the agenda.
I'll second that. Ms. Contra, we have a motion by Ms. Underhill and a second by myself. Board members, please cast your votes. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, board members. Moving on to 4.1, recognitions. Ms. Airy, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, President Sandoval, members of the board, Dr. Reynolds, and guests that have joined us both here and virtually this evening. As you know, from time to time, we bring forward some special celebrations and recognitions to celebrate during this portion of our agenda. And many times they are incredible students, staff, or community members that are really making an impact in our district. And from time to time, we get to pause and celebrate the 5 of you who many in our community may not know are volunteers, very dedicated volunteers that are elected to serve our community. And we think it's quite fitting during January, which is School Board Recognition Month, that we pause to celebrate all that you do to serve and to give back to our community. Now, it's also quite fitting that we have 2 new board members, and I know we've mentioned it at a couple of the past meetings. We are so pleased to have Mrs. Hill join us, as well as Dr. Sorensen. This is technically your first official regular governing board meeting, so we did want to take a moment to celebrate you, as well as you, Mr. Sandoval, who has been elected most recently to another 4-year term on our board. So we do want to pause and just thank you so much for running and for agreeing to serve in this capacity for our community, for our students, and for our staff. We want to pause and give you a quick moment, a quick round of applause.
Thank you.
Now, as I shared, it is School Board Recognition Month, and this is something that began back in 1995 as a way to highlight and recognize the work of local public school board members for all they do for our community. And so we will be celebrating that this much. And as such, this is a quick warning for the 5 of you that I'll be following up with you next week. And want to just hear a little bit from you what it means to you to serve our community, maybe why it is that you have chosen this role and chosen to give back and to serve this school district. So on behalf of the Peoria Unified School District, we just want to thank you so much for the time and the effort that you put in to our district and for your willingness to serve throughout your term. Thank you.
Thank you. Real quick, I apologize. I didn't lead with my typical housekeeping, and I do see everybody wear masks, which thank you for that. But I just want to let everyone know that as a district, we are following the mandates driven by our county, and we do require masks throughout our entire footprint. So thank you for that. Ms. Harry? I apologize, when you were speaking, I know, Ms. Hill and Mr. Sorensen, new to the board. I don't know if we want to give them, that opportunity to speak briefly about, their position and their why from a school board perspective. So, Ms. Hill?
I actually consider it a great privilege and an honor, really, to be up here on this board representing my community. I look forward to taking care of big decisions, that will regard our children, the teachers, parents, staff, hopefully making very good, decisions on the future for our community at large. And I'm very honored to be here, and hopefully we'll have a lot of support from you, and I look forward to hearing from all of you if you do email me, just so I can get more information so I can be better prepared to make those big decisions as they come along. Once again, thank you again for the opportunity to serve the community.
Thank you, Ms. Hill. Mr. Sorensen?
Service is near and dear to my heart, and I hope to add more value than I extract. Just very grateful to be here.
Thank you for that, sir. Welcome to both of you. All right.
Board comments?
Board comments? Let's go. All right. Next item on the agenda are board comments. I'll start off with Ms. Pingrelli.
I just wanted to welcome the new board members and welcome you back, President Sandoval.
Thank you. Ms. O'Neill?
I would extend that as well to all of you, and I just want to extend an incredibly heartfelt thanks to all of our teachers and staff that are doing whatever they can do right now to take care of our kids. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Ms. Underhill. Ms. Hill?
Once again, I'm just grateful to be here, so thank you again for allowing me to be a part of this board and for all your support.
Mr. Sorensen?
Everyone's been very kind, so I'm very thankful.
Thank you for that. So for me, today I had the opportunity to visit a couple of our sites. I was at Peoria High School in Santa Fe, and it was just inspiring to, as I walked the halls and entered some classrooms, the site leadership to the teachers and staff, that I was able to talk to today, and just watch the collaboration and the continued just unwavering commitment to inspiring hope in our youth. It was just it was an honor to be with those individuals, and so I just want to publicly thank them for welcoming me, and again, it was an honor to visit Peoria High School in Santa Fe today. So thank you for that. Dr. Reynolds, Superintendent Comments.
Thank you, President Sandoval, Governing Board, guests, Cabinet. Again, just another welcome to our 2 new members, and congratulations to President Sandoval for joining us for another 4 years, but also just to say again, Thank you. We shouldn't wait for appreciation days or weeks or months to show our appreciation for each other. But they are wonderful reminders that we do need to take a moment and thank our board for your service and your willingness to serve your community. So thank you for that. I would like to congratulate our esteemed principal at Desert Harbor Elementary School, Becky Burhow. She was recognized as a semifinalist for the Maricopa County Exemplary Principal Award. She was selected from more than 1,200 principals in Maricopa County for her leadership in significantly increasing student growth, retaining teachers, and cultivating a supporting and collaborative culture of high expectations. A final round of candidates will be selected for Phase 3 in the process, and we certainly feel she is worthy of this recognition, and we wish her the very, very best of luck. Cadet James Cook, a junior at Liberty High School who attends AFJROTC at Cactus High School, was selected for a private pilot scholarship to attend the 2021 AJFROTC Flight Academy this summer. There were only 230 people chosen internationally for this experience. James will receive college credit while trying to earn his private pilot's license at one of several universities and take part in this program. So we have a big congratulations out to him and this scholarship. I'm pretty sure most of our community already has heard this exciting news. It's been shared all over our community. But I would love to have a big round of applause for Sunrise Mountain High School for securing the 5A football state championship this year. Their accomplishments obviously have been shared on many media outlets and at the City of Peoria Council meeting. We are all very proud of our 3 teams who made it to the end, and for the Mustangs for securing that big win, so congratulations to them. But Sunrise Mountain isn't the only state champions we have this fall. For the first time in our Peoria Unified history, we are proud to say that we are home to the state champion girls badminton team. The Ironwood Eagles had a perfect season, going 17-0 just 8 years after badminton was established in Peoria Unified. So a huge round of applause for our girls at Ironwood and Coach Brett Stafford for their state championship. My last comment is that you may have noticed that on our agenda, due to our special meeting last night, we do not have a health data update this evening. We will be providing the board updates on our health data, and we'll resume that health data update at our January 28th meeting.
Very good. Thank you, Dr. Reynolds. Okay, moving on to section 5.1, election of governing board president. We had a brief discussion around this line item at a retreat, and if it's okay with the board, how I would like to proceed with this is provide each board member the opportunity to make any comments, questions, and then after that, we can get into nominations and our recommendations at that point, if that's okay with everybody. Okay. I know Ms. Underhill, you and I think Ms. Pingerelli expressed some interest in the positions that we'll be speaking about and have action on this evening. So I'd like to give each one of you an opportunity to speak, along with Mr. Sorensen and Ms. Hill, and then, like I said, we'll get into the voting process. So, Ms. Pingerelli?
Since our last meeting last week, I've thought long and hard, and I am going to pull out and let other people jump in. So this year, I do not want to run for president or clerk. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pingerelli. Ms. Underhill?
We're just talking about, we're not making nominations right now. Right?
Yeah, just, I know you expressed interest in one or...
Yeah, I guess I would just, be very honored to continue to serve in the role of clerk, but obviously I will serve at the, pleasure of the board, and so I am interested, so yes, thank you.
So, Ms. Hill?
I actually do not have interest in the leadership positions on the board at this time. I think that I will leave that to other people.
Thank you, Ms. Hill. Mr. Sorensen?
Yeah, I don't know what I'm getting into yet, so I'm not prepared to put my name in the hat for that.
Thank you, Mr. Sorensen, for that. Yeah, for me, I know I expressed interest in continuing to sit in this seat. It's been an honor to be the president of this board, over this time. We've obviously have entered a time where we still have some very, very tough decisions to make, while still being in the middle of this pandemic. And, as we look into, facilities utilization studies, et cetera, moving forward, it's just, I've been grateful, for the comments of the board to first nominate and elect me into this role, and, would love to continue sitting in this seat for the next term. So with that said, no other questions, comments, I'll open it up to individuals to make any nominations and recommendations.
President Sandoval, I would like to nominate you for the president of the governing board for the 2021, wait, where are we? Yeah, this school year, this year.
I would like to second that nomination.
Thank you, Ms. Underhill and Ms. Hill, for your support. So that said, board members, we do have a motion and a motion by Ms. Underhill and a second by Ms. Hill to nominate me as being president of this board. So please cast your votes. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Thank you again for your support and confidence and for these next 12 months. So moving on to 5.2, the election of a governing board clerk. We'll follow the same process. So I'll ask at this point, are any nominations, comments, questions on this position?
I nominate Corey Underhill as board clerk.
I will second that nomination.
Ms. Contra, we have a nomination by Ms. Pingarelli for and support of Ms. Underhill to sit in the seat of clerk, and a second by Ms. Hill. Board members, please cast your votes. Motion passes 5-0. Congratulations, Ms. Underhill.
Thanks.
All right. Okay, moving on to 6.1. I apologize. I need to just continue wearing my glasses instead of taking them off and putting them back on. So 6.1, discussion and consideration of dates, times, and locations for regular board meetings for 2021. Board members, any questions, comments on this particular item? Ms. Pingarelli?
No, we went over it last week. I'm fine with it.
Ms. Underhill?
I'm fine with it as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Sorensen?
I'm fine.
Ms. Hill?
Yes, this will work for me just fine. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so I do need a motion to approve the governing board meeting schedule. I move that we approve the 2021 PUSD governing board meeting schedule.
Second?
Ms. Contra, we have a motion by myself and a second by Ms. Underhill. Board members, please cast your votes. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, board members. Moving on to 7.1, request to address the governing board regarding matters not included on the agenda. Just as a reminder, with these items, because they are not agendized, board members cannot comment on the public comment, but we certainly welcome your thoughts, feedback, and considerations. As always, each individual has 3 minutes, and we'll spend an entire 30 minutes tied to this particular line item. With that said, Ms. Concha, let me know when you are ready with the timer.
President Sandoval, I am ready.
Okay. The first public comment comes from Vanessa Aslan Blair.
Governing Board, Superintendent, Cabinet, thank you very much. I'm an employee and a parent. I came yesterday and was thinking something, and quite honestly, heard a lot yesterday. And I was really surprised by Dr. Reynolds and Ms. Underhill. What I was under the assumption is that there was no metrics being used. But from what you said, Ms. Underhill, yesterday, is that you are making decisions, and Dr. Reynolds, you were saying that you were making site-based decisions. My question and my hope for the future is that if you were going to make decisions, if you can make it a little bit more transparent to the staff. I apologize, I'm shaking up here.
It's okay.
I saw that you were looking at, for example, the absenteeism. If you were looking at the absenteeism for a classroom versus a grade versus a school, what is the number that you are looking at for those specific items? So if it's a classroom that needs to be quarantined, well, okay, what is that percentage? If it's a grade level because there's more students, if it's an entire school because there's so many different variables that are going on, I think we're just wondering, what is that number for those specific areas? And I think that transparency would be much appreciated. And I saw that you guys are doing everything from what you said yesterday, but that communication, I think, would make us feel a lot better. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Blair. Dr. Reynolds, Cabinet, there was a few questions, I believe, in that comment, if we can make sure that we get back to Ms. Claire in a timely fashion. Next public comment is from Jennifer Pobertek.
Good evening, Dr. Reynolds and members of the board. Thank you for taking my comment. I am currently teaching virtually, and I am beyond grateful to teach virtually. I am at Cactus High School, and due to the classrooms, I am in a storage room between 2 other classrooms. I love my students. They're great. I do have, as of today, 21 rosters. I had a count of the number of students that I had for you a couple days ago, but it keeps moving. I'm making art kits and inventorying what kids have so that they can all get the supplies they need. But I just wanted the board to know that virtual teachers, I think there's a confusion that virtual teachers are all teaching from home. We are not. We are being asked to teach from the school site. And as professionals, we are coming into the school site and fulfilling our duties. I did ask to go virtual because my son does have some medical conditions, and we are trying to protect our family as much as possible. So that's why I asked. As a teacher, things that I observed last year that are concerning when I was in person and synchronous at the same time, kids would be quarantined and they'd be back for a few days, and they'd be quarantined and back for a few days, and quarantined and back for a few days. And that instability is really difficult on a student when they're back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And even the most resilient kids struggle with maintaining their education when they're like that. And even when teachers are dedicating hours to making packets and live streaming videos and contacting kids, and parents are communicating with teachers, and there's a really great parent-teacher relationship there, it's still really difficult on the student. And I did see several students struggle despite wonderful administrative support. And that's what I'm concerned about as well right now. I do have several friends that are teaching in person that have 11 students quarantined out of 35. And this is pretty common throughout. I could give numbers and we don't need to do that. I'm sure you can look them up. But my concern is how many kids are going to be quarantined, how many hundreds of kids at each site are going to be quarantined before we realize that maybe we need to close the site. I certainly hope that the pandemic ends soon. I know my own 2 children are virtual, and their teachers are very dedicated, and I shout out to all their teachers. They're doing a fantastic job. I appreciate them. And I really can't wait for in-person learning next year. Fingers crossed. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, Ms. Polbatek, sorry. Dr. Reynolds, Cabinet, there again, please address some of those questions and concerns by Ms. Polbatek in a timely fashion. Next public comment is Ms. Trina Berg.
Good evening, President Sandoval. I'm glad to see that you're still going to continue being our president. Members of the board, Dr. Reynolds. I'm Trina Berg, president of the Peoria Education Association, and I'm here tonight after yesterday's meeting. I think it's possible that we are not as far apart as what we think we might be, but we need to see something written down. Because I know that we are looking at other things besides just county metrics. I understand county metrics are gone. We're not going to use them. Okay, so we're going to use site-based metrics. And while county may play into site-based metrics, unless we have something that we can look at with some numbers that go with it of things that this might be concerning, we need to take a look at this. And this number would be concerning, and we need to take a look at this. What are the triggers that cause us to look at these numbers? And how many different numbers are we looking at? How many different things, how many different points of concern do we need to have? I think if we had something in writing that we could actually look at and compare to the data that we know we have on a campus, and then have the communication of, okay, we looked at this number, this is why this number is not a concern. We looked at this number, this is why this number is a concern. So now we're going to look at this next data metric that we have. I think if we had a matrix, let's say, instead of metrics, let's call it a matrix. Okay, so we're going to call it a matrix. So we're going to look at all these different things, and we're going to decide whether or not this is concerning. If all of these things are in someone's head, Dr. Reynolds, no offense, but if this is all in someone's head and it's very nebulous to us, we don't understand it. We need to see it in writing. We need to be able to play with it, manipulate it, and see the numbers. And then from there, we can help make these decisions. The transparency is going to help, and it's going to let us know that there is actually something in place, that if we start to reach these different points, that we will look at closing down classrooms, grade levels, schools, or grade bands. Again, I don't know how many times I've said this. I have not advocated to be virtual for the sake of being virtual. I have advocated for reinstating metrics. The county metrics gave us a very clear line. This is what we're looking at. And that clear line is now gone. So we have a lot of, we have a lot of quarantine kids on this campus. And by the way, quarantine is incredibly important. I think the fact that we wear masks and we quarantine kids that are in close contact is what is keeping us from having massive spread on campus. So I think those two things are incredibly important. But it is something we have to deal with. And I think having, again, write something down. Give us something, give us a matrix, give us numbers, why this is concerning, why not concerning. And I think that's gonna help calm a lot of the fears that are happening right now with your staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Berg. Dr. Reynolds, Cabinet. Again, there's a few questions in there and asks. If we can establish clarity with Ms. Berg via email, that'd be great. Next public comment is from Ms. Devin Updegraff Day.
All right, board. Thank you for having me. I was not able to attend last night's meeting because I was working. I was fulfilling my duties to my patients. But I was watching online, and I did notice a lot of comments regarding virtual only and really focusing on data, or otherwise known as metrics. Now let's talk about data, since that's what we want to focus on. The organization of the UNICEF study found across 191 countries, quote, no association between schools and being open and COVID infection rates in the community. In the American Association Pediatrics Journal this month, right here, I can give it to you guys, did a 9-week study, 11 districts, 90,000 teachers and students, found, quote, no instances of child to adult transmission of COVID-19 were reported within schools. What more does the board need? What more does the association, teacher association, or unions, because let's be honest, that's what they are, need? Peoria USD is an institution of education. Then you do not ignore compounding evidence, research, and expert recommendations for emotions and unproven fear. And in the words of Elsa from Frozen 2, it is fear that cannot be trusted, and unfortunately fear has dictated everything. Now, Mr. Sorensen, you had mentioned accountability for basically janitorial services, for not sufficiently cleaning the classroom. So I ask you, let's talk about accountability. What about the accountability of the teachers that organized a sick-out that closed multiple schools, and those schools that were able to be open had to scramble to find coverage? What about the accountability for the teachers that organized the sick-out using school emails, school classrooms on school campus during school hours? What about wearing black and rest in peace metrics hashtags? What message does that send to kids? Possibly the message that if a teacher were to pass away, heaven forbid, from COVID, that it would be the students to blame? These kids know what SRIP stands for. My second grader knew that in first grade. They get enough fear propaganda from their social media and TikTok. They do not need it from the teachers that they look up to. I think everyone in education should know that firsthand knowledge that when you don't acknowledge and handle bad behavior, it doesn't go away. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Day. Dr. Reynolds, cabinet. Again, these individuals are taking time to present their questions, comments, concerns. So we can make sure that we get back to them in short order. I do have an ask of everybody in the room, and I couldn't find a point to when I don't want to interrupt in your speech, Ms. Day, but even as we approach the podium and are speaking, I know it's difficult, but as stated, you know, masks are mandated and required across the entire footprint, so thank you for that. Next public comment is from Mr. Frank Eager.
Dr. Reynolds, President Sandoval, members of the board. I come today as your Vice President of PEA. I come today I'm not going to talk about metrics. I'm not going to talk about spread. I'm going to talk about the teachers at your schools and how hard they're working. They're very tired. They're very tired. And as Trina Berg said earlier, whatever is going on and how decisions are being made, all we really want is in writing. Distinctly what is you're going to follow, so we know what the line is. That's all we need to know. We're not asking to go back virtually, keep in person. We just want the line. We want to know what it is so we know we stand. All I know, you know, as we talked about, masks are important. I think quarantines are important, even though today I'm probably going to have 6 kids in my class quarantined because somebody has it in my class. It's an important thing because that stops the spread. It helps keep the mitigation. That's a good mitigation to have. You know, we can talk about, is it really long enough? Is it not? We can go that, but it works because we don't have as much spread because of that at our schools. But a lot of teachers are very tired, and it's hard. I'm still doing dual modality because it was easier for me to stay that way because I have 2 classes I teach already that are already that way. So I went ahead and made my first hour class the exact same way I did it in the fall. That doesn't work for every teacher, and I understand that and respect that. Because I have kids who get quarantined, it's easy for me to email them. My team is set up. If you feel up to it and you're not sick, please log on and we'll continue the day. Dropping stuff off at their house if they need to, or have somebody pick it up. I try to do the best I can. For the virtual teachers out there, I know it was brought up yesterday, we make more virtual sections. The problem is, though, a lot of teachers are already working those extra sections to cover those extra sections. As Dr. Reynolds said yesterday, there's not teachers out there to do the job. They're not magically going to keep reappearing. And that makes it really hard on everybody else, because then the virtual teachers get more kids, because parents are unsure, because the metrics or whatever is not written down, they don't understand. So they immediately, gut reaction, pull their kid to virtual, because they feel safer that way. That's pretty much how it is. So it makes it rough. And then they have 7 rosters, 7 attendance sheets, 7 check-in sheets, which makes it really difficult with like 42 kids in different little sections. I know the reasons why it's that way, but it makes it really difficult. So really, my last thing I'd state as a board and to our superintendent is just put it in writing. I don't care what it is. I don't care if you say we have to have 300%. Just put it in writing so we all know. And that's what we really want as teachers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Eager. Dr. Reynolds' cabinet, there again, please shine to Mr. Eager in a timely fashion. Next public comment is from Ms. Linda Busan.
Thank you, Governing School Board. Some of the metrics that we have here, we've got just a little bit over 331 million people here in the United States. And of that population, we have 22,917,334 and 334 COVID cases. That's a contraction rate of 0.0682 and a 99.98 recovery rate from COVID. Now, on the PUSD website, it says that we have 27,215 students that attend in-person classes with only 43 campus cases district-wide. That's a contraction rate of 0.0015. That's well under any national or global average, and there's been no deaths reported. 4 out of 5 people with coronavirus will have a mild or moderate case and recover within 2 to 4 weeks. If you're young and healthy, the risk is much, much lower. We've had far worse case and death statistics with influenza and pneumonia reports recurring year after year without one mention of it until we've allowed COVID to dominate every aspect of our lives. People with health risk may die. It's always been this way since mankind first walked the earth. This is a fact. It's not going to change. We all face death eventually. Within the last few days, every public health professional says that the safest place for kids is in the schoolroom. Nor will Governor Ducey fund empty seats or allow schools to remain in a perpetual state of closure. Kids still need to learn, even in a pandemic. Now, the governing school board generously allowed teachers and students the option of online learning and teaching. Yet we have teachers violating their contracts, using the POSD organization multiple resources to whip up dissension and call for sick-outs, causing 13 elementary and high schools to close on January 11th, leaving students and families just nowhere to go. The Peoria Education Association, or PEA, President Trina Berg and Treasurer Jessica Batty, who is also a special ed teacher at Sunrise Mountain High School, are using the POSD's organizational tools to elicit surveys, collect home email addresses, send texts, all to incite dissension and organize sick-outs because they do not feel that their voices are being heard. This is a direct violation of using school resources improperly. The governing school board relaxed binding contracts between the districts and its teachers until the end of the school year due to COVID, but it was never meant to be used this way. The governing school board has a duty to see that our students are not victimized, and I respectfully call for the termination of Trina Berg and Jessica Batty. Any other decision will ultimately hold our school district and its students as future hostages at the whim of any teacher who assumes they can use school property for their own selfish wishes. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Busan. Dr. Reynolds' cabinet, please respond in a timely fashion to Ms. Busan as well. Next public comment is Miss Molly Morris and Gloucester.
Hi, good evening. First, I wanted to address actually another important thing that I saw happen at the December 10th meeting. I want to thank President Sandoval, Ms. Underhill, and former member Ms. Ceja Martinez for approving the proposal for a new course, American Studies. I want to voice agreement with that vote. Thank you at the most basic of approving a class to begin developing the curriculum and exploring what this class could look like, just like has been done many times before. Ms. Ceja Martinez pointed out that it has been done many times before without objection. This is the normal and required path for a new class to develop. Thank you for respecting the alumna who had decided to contribute to her former district in high school by bringing ideas that inspire and include. Thank you to Ms. Hart for being brave and forward-thinking. Thank you to Ms. Underhill for your support in mentioning that it does align with state standards. This was a kind thing. This was innovation. This was a step to improve equity in our classrooms. It's trying to include all, and that is always the right choice. After hearing Ms. Dunham and Ms. Mundy speak to the board, it's clear they are seasoned professionals who can lead the design of this class. That's why our district hired them. Thank you to those 3 board members for trusting the teachers that are employed here. I'm glad board members respect the professionals that have been building classes for decades. Again, thank you for approving the class for American Studies. It sounds like an amazing class. Next, I'd like to speak about last night's meeting, or just what's going on in the community. PUSD is almost 10 times the level of substantial risk in our district. I'm not sure if we should be on online only, but this is not the way that we should be doing this. Pediatric hospitalizations from May to November are up 4,000% compared to previous years. And I know there's lots of blame to go around, but I believe it started at the very top of this country. And I wish someone here would be honest and admit that this is bad and that things have gone wrong. And if society took education seriously, things would have been done from the top down that would have protected our schools. It would have demonstrated that school was the most important. I think a lot of you in this room have a privilege of never having to be in a classroom or never having to be in a classroom day after day. I have that privilege. I don't work in a classroom. I have the privilege of being in a safe, distant space. This is the most crowded room I've been in months. So I want you to, again, think about what your teachers are experiencing every day. Think about what every employee is experiencing every day, and even the students. I guess in closing, I just want to say, I think what people want is transparency and empathy and an apology when it's gone wrong. I think you owe your community as a whole an apology. Hospitals are full and we have to protect our hospitals and beds. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Morris-Gloucester. Dr. Reynolds' cabinet, once again, please respond to Ms. Morris-Gloucester in a timely fashion. Our next public comment is from Ms. Tracy Gillespie.
I'm not going to touch the thing.
Okay.
So he doesn't have to wipe it when I'm done. And this is my own device.
Okay.
Just saying. Governing Board, Dr. Reynolds, and staff. My name is Tracy Gillespie, and I'm a parent, a staff member, and a resident in this school district. I'm here tonight to talk about the American Studies course that was discussed at the December 10th board meeting. I'm here to say, no disrespect intended, that I completely disagree with the comments that were made by community members in attendance at that meeting. I pay my taxes, I support the schools too, and I think this program was amazing. I hope the course is adopted at all of the high schools so that my kids can take it, and I want to remind everyone in the audience that it's an elective. So of course, if you don't want your kids to take it, tell them that. Before I go on, I'm sure that some or all of you have taught your children how to drive. Maybe you have younger kids, you're going to teach them at some point. I am in the process of teaching both of my kids at the same time. Did you teach your kids that if they are ever pulled over, they should make sure their hands stay on top of the wheel or on top of their head with only their driver's license between their fingers? No phone, no wallet, do exactly what you're told. Even if you disagree with what is happening, do exactly what you're told. My parents never taught me that because they didn't have to. I taught my son because he's black. I had to teach him Has your smart, beautiful, brown-skinned daughter ever come to you and said, there are people around here who hate me just for the color of my skin? You ever heard that from your kids? I have. My daughter has said that to me. My lens for raising my kids is obviously different than your lens for raising your kids, because my children are children of color. My children and children like them deserve to know their place in history just as much as everyone else's kids. They should not have to go to the library to find out what their history is. Being afraid of teaching history through a different lens does not look good. Knowledge sows power, not hate. 49% of students in this district are children of color. Many kids are lesbian, gay, questioning, or multiple other combinations of things. They deserve to learn about history through their lenses, just like your kids learn about history through their own lens. In case you're wanting to use the argument that we just want to see the curriculum first, this board has approved many courses without ever seeing the curriculum. For example, the CSI course at Cactus. The teachers develop the courses because they know what they're doing. They learned this stuff in school. In conclusion, I think this course sounds like a great opportunity, and I appreciate the board members and staff members who can look beyond themselves and see what is really good for kids of color. Thank you to the young lady for building the curriculum, the teacher teaching the curriculum, and the school for hosting the course. I hope my kids can get there and experience it themselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gillespie. Dr. Reynolds' cabinet there again, please have some correspondence with Ms. Gillespie and answer any further questions she may have. Thank you. Next public comment is from Ms. Amy Lemons.
All right, good evening. I'm going to read my public comment from last night since it was not read aloud. My name is Amy Lemons. I'm a parent of two students in your school district, a high school math teacher at Ironwood High School, and a community member. I want to preface this by being very transparent with you. If given the choice for myself, as a teacher, I would be teaching in person. As a parent, given the choice, I teach, I have chosen for my own children for them to attend in person. I do this because it's better for me and better for my kids for the most part. In continuing with that transparency, I should let you know that when we were all virtual, I did pull my child, my son who did struggle. I homeschooled him at night because I was not able to help him during the day. Now, that might sound like I'm leaning towards one way, but I need to be very clear that I am not. I should not be given this choice, mostly because I am not an expert on infectious diseases. I've never been to medical school, and I would never plan or pretend to know more than the doctors do. Unless I am mistaken, I don't believe that any of our board members have ever studied pathogens of disease or have enough expertise in this field to make educated, science-backed decisions for our whole community. This is why we had metrics, but that the state had put in place. And I hear about the matrix and all that fun stuff, and I appreciate that. But to piggyback, there does need to be some real transparency about what that looks like, and it can't be something that just keeps getting moved when we get closer to it. While the argument that having students in person is better for the students and less disruptive to the community as a whole may sound good on paper, the actuality of what is happening is far more disruptive than it would have been having a soft start back from break. You guys made the wrong choice. For example, last week at my school, we did have 11 confirmed cases. Because of this, 128 students were sent home that were in close contact. That was just week one back. I may not be a scientist, but I do teach math and I know about exponential growth. The numbers are going to just increase at a higher rate. Teachers have to gather work for these students or log them back online and teach both in person and online at the same time once again. Subsequently, the teacher workload has increased and students will end up having gaps in their instruction with the yo-yo effect of being person and online back and forth. Our state does not have a leader who values public education. I know the incredible challenge it must be to figure out how to pay for everything with the lack of funding that we have had for so long, and I do not envy your job or any of your jobs at this point. I do worry how your decisions of this board and of the district are going to have with a long-term effect on our community that I live in.
Thank you, Ms. Lemons. Dr. Reynolds, Cabinet, once again, please correspond to Ms. Lemons in a timely fashion. Next public comment comes from Ms. Heather Rooks.
Hello, board members and superintendent. I have a few things to mention. I wanted to request that a mask policy be added to the next agenda for kids with disabilities. There are families still reaching out to me on this topic needing guidance. In regards to the planned sick-out strike on Monday in the district school emails were used by select teachers that participated in the sick-out. They abandoned their fellow teachers, principals, staff, parents, and the most affected students. Peoria District had select few teachers bullying other teachers to strike with them on Monday. Bullying should not be tolerated. You have teachers who don't want to speak up because of things like this, organized by unions. Lake Pleasant Elementary had 7th and 8th grade teachers not show up on Monday, leaving the students stranded. We need to hold these actions accountable. I have heard from other parents that certain teachers are doing some awful things in class. One teacher is not wearing her mask when she is seated at her desk, but she yells at her students to wear their masks properly. Another teacher not allowing high school students to use their hydro flask to drink water in class because she is afraid of them pulling their masks down. This same teacher won't allow students to use the restroom to the point of a student pulling out a Feneman product out of her backpack to show that she needed to use the restroom. At my kids' school, my kids are not getting enough time at lunch to eat their food because of COVID mitigation measures. Another teacher discussed with her class that her doctor told her if she gets COVID, she would die. That should not be spoken by any teacher to any student. I wanted to end with an idea about the teachers who don't feel safe, giving them the job of an online teaching for students who have to quarantine for 7 to 10 days. Wanted to share this idea to help tackle two problems at once. And last, I have forwarded you all the proof of a select few teachers using district work emails to send out surveys to push for the strike that occurred on Monday. Why are we allowing strikes with unions to occur in the Peoria Unified School District? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rooks. Dr. Reynolds, Cabinet, please correspond to Ms. Rooks in a timely fashion. Yeah, we have one more. Okay. Thank you for that. Looks like our final public comment is from Ms. Jessica, I'm going to say Batty. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time here tonight, governing board members, President Sandoval, Dr. Reynolds. Right now is a very heated time for everyone. We all know this. I'm not here to be heated. I could go into, so you guys already know, I teach at Sunrise Mountain High School Special Education. I am a single mom of 6 kids. 5 of them are currently in the Peoria district, 1 in a self-contained classroom. I've had 1 that's graduated. This is the hardest thing that I've ever had to go through in my life as a parent. To decide what to do. 4 of my kids have been quarantined, 1 of them twice. We all go through it, and it's hard as a parent to decide what to do, but I knew that my job comes first. I put my kids second, my job, because in some ways I need to be able to pay bills to feed them and take care of them and all this stuff. And I'm part of the union because I am not afraid to stand up for those who don't feel that they can. just as these parents come here and speak for other parents, we all are standing up for what we believe in. And just one of the things, you know, as a teacher, sometimes it's hard to just not feel supported. And I feel like you guys are doing as much as you can, but sometimes it's just not seen. And some of the simple things are, we talk about on the news that all of our teachers have air purifiers, but yet 30% or half of the classrooms don't have them yet. So parents believe that everybody has one, they're not there. The cleaning magnets. I don't have one in my classroom. I don't know when they're gonna come. Some of those things, it just seems like we're trying to get out this wishful thinking of, it's gonna get better, it's gonna be okay. I got my shot tonight, you know, nothing's gonna happen. Or I've had COVID, which I did, it's not gonna happen again. But we just want to feel like we are being told the truth, that we know what's going on, we feel supported, not that we hear something from administration and then we hear something different at the board meeting, or we hear something on the news that's different than what's told to us. We are just kind of out here, we feel like screaming into the air with nobody hearing us. And so please know that we support you, we appreciate all of the things that you do, and we see it, and we just want you to know that we're doing our best, and we're trying as hard as we can, and we're not here to fight anybody. We love our students, we love the parents that take care of them. We will do everything and anything that we can to help our students, to help our parents, to get through this together. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Batty. Dr. Reynolds, Cabinet, please respond to Ms. Batty in a timely fashion and go over any other questions that she may have. We do have a few other grade slips. Those are tied to items specific to this agenda. So we had no items removed from the consent. So we will now move down to 10.1. What we will do is allow for public comment and then district presentation before board comments and questions. So 10.1, I have, it's like 3. What's that?
President Sandoval?
Yes, sir.
Give us just 1 second. It looks like we have some confusion with between the consent agenda and the action items.
Okay.
Thank you.
You got it? Do you think totally logging off and then logging back on might help? No?
Forward with using voice votes.
Okay, sure.
President Sandoval,
Okay. Yes,
Governing
sir.
Board. I think there seems to be some technological issues with some confusion with board docs with the consent agenda and our action items. So with the agenda posted, we can move forward with voice votes for those two items. And we'll just capture that obviously in the minutes.
All right, sounds good. All right, moving on to 10.1. Approval of up to 80 hours of paid sick leave as a benefit of employment upon presentation of an employee's positive COVID-19 test or healthcare provider written direction to quarantine while awaiting test results for the time period of January 1st, 2021 to March 31st, 2021. As stated, we do have some public comment tied to this item, so I'd like to listen to those and then allow the district to present before board comments and questions. So the first individual that wishes to speak on this line item is Ms. Molly Morris Gloucester.
Thank you, President and the board. I just wanted to say real quickly, so again, I'm not a teacher, but this sounds like a wonderful idea. I think a lot of teachers are, if they have not been sick yet, they are somewhat afraid of becoming sick and then running out of sick time. That's a genuine concern for a lot of people. So I think this is a great idea. I want to thank the administration for bringing it forward. And I think it goes along with what Dr. Sorensen said last night, and I won't phrase it the same way, but he seemed to suggest that there needs to be some repair done and some extensions need to be made to teachers in the community. And I think this is one step in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gloucester. Next public comment tied to this slide item is Mr. Frank Eager.
Mr. Sandoval, rest of the board members, Dr. Reynolds, again, thank you for your time. As a teacher, this is one of those things we talk about that shows, more than just a thank you, more than keep working hard. It kind of gives us some teachers who do go to the classroom like I do every day. If I do get COVID, for whatever it's from school or at home or wherever it possibly could be, that I do have some coverage there that we cover. That is a nice thing to have. And also when you have to cover some other classes because people are missing or all preps are taken up and you get the call, it's good to know that there is a little more compensation for that goes along with the subs who we put into the schools as well. I could probably almost say unanimously all on the first one about the sick time the district's going to cover for employees. I think it would probably be a unanimous thing by everybody who works for this district for sure, especially the teachers. And I know for a fact the extra money will help ease some minds of some teachers who go in those classes and cover as well. So I really appreciate that, and I really hope you consider a vote for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Eager. That was the final comment tied to this slide item. Looks like we have Dr. Carter Davidson presenting from the district. Did you have two listed on yours? I apologize, I'm usually pretty good at seeking those out. Yes, you're correct, I apologize. We do have one more public comment tied to this line item, and that is by Ms. Heather Rooks.
Thank you for checking.
Absolutely.
Hello again, board members and superintendent. I had some questions regarding this on the agenda tonight. I wanted to know, what is the policy of staff leaves and absences? I would like to point out GCC staff leaves and absences policy under the Arizona School Board Association Policy Bridge. I printed them out. In regards to what occurred on Monday in the district, what will be your policy to make sure that that doesn't happen again with unions abusing the sick leave as a benefit? It's not fair to the teachers and staff who are actually being honest and truthful about being sick. Is the district going to hold the teachers to a standard of not abusing sick time if we are adding more sick days as a benefit? The GBEB, also right here, staff conduct policy, also addresses any fake sick outs with all employees of the district are expected to conduct themselves in a manner consistent with effective and orderly education and to protect students and district property. This policy also states no employee shall, by action or inaction, interfere with or disrupt any district activity or encourage such disruption. I just would like the board to consider that when students are sick and absent, parents provide doctor's notes to the school. So please consider a policy added to the sick leave increase as a benefit with something that ensures the sick out on Monday doesn't happen again. Disciplinary actions would be a good idea to start with. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ricks. And that was indeed the final comment tied to this line item. Dr. Davidson, welcome, sir.
All right, thank you, President Sandoval, members of the board, Dr. Reynolds. This action item 10.1, to me, highlights a little bit of support on behalf of the work of our staff out there, really honors their efforts and their work on behalf of providing a quality education to our kids. So we're excited to be here tonight, really not only on behalf of that, but on behalf of the extension that was provided through the federal government. I wanted just to highlight the fact that our board agenda item tonight takes us through March 31st of 2021. That was done with purpose to align with the extension of COVID relief as provided by the government. Just some key highlights here. As you can see through the agenda item that was built, the background information, there was a change compared to what has been known as the FFCRA compared to what we're offering and asking the board to approve tonight. There were numerous indicators, and that was shared and I think in a board report as well, in which an employee could be eligible for the FFCRA. Tonight we're asking the board to consider really options, two options. The first being if the employee themselves does contract COVID and has a positive case, that we would work alongside payroll and alongside our benefits department to retroactively or in current time support them through up to essentially 10 days of pay. That's where that 80 hours comes from there. Or if for some reason they were awaiting test results and working alongside a physician, had a documentation, a note that suggested that they need to be quarantined for a period of time, they could also submit that to benefits and in turn essentially receive compensation instead of having to use their own sick time. So those are the two main items in this agenda as it relates to a Peoria COVID relief act of sorts. Along the lines of transparency, I've heard that term tonight, and that's something we certainly have to recognize a need for with our staff. With your approval tonight, we'll be prepared to inform our employees of this leave act or this ability to support them during a time of sickness. The original FFCRA, a person can qualify for that FFCRA if they've been employed for at least 30 days, so we're going to continue with that as a point of use for us here in Peoria. Also, we are going to highlight the fact that we need timely communication from our employees, that if they're going through this experience and wanting us to support them through our benefits team, that we would need to be notified within 2 weeks of a sickness or of a quarantine to ensure that our payroll team has the opportunity to process these claims in a timely fashion. So just a few important pieces that we'd like to highlight to our employees if the board so approves this agenda item tonight. Ms. Myers and I have collaborated with this agenda item, and certainly I want to ask her if there's anything I've missed or things she would like to highlight tonight on behalf of this action item.
Thank you, Dr. Davidson, President Sandoval, members of the governing board. As you'll see in the background for the agenda item, FFCRA, which is the Families First Coronavirus Relief Act, which was part of the March 2020 stimulus package from the federal government, expired on December 30th. Prior to December 30th, it was mandatory for employers. Now it's discretionary, it's optional. Peoria Unified did not qualify for the tax credits. Political subdivisions were excluded. So this will now be a benefit provided by the district versus FFCRA.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. So President Sandoval, members of the board, I stand here for any questions prior to a vote.
Thank you, Dr. Davidson, Ms. Myers. Board members, questions, comments? Ms. Hill?
So just to make sure that I'm understanding correctly, the monies that would be given to the employees for this time off would be, for sick leave, of course, would be from the federal government. Is that what you're saying? So it's completely not out of the taxpayer local pockets?
Ms. Hill, President Sandoval, I probably could answer that, but I'm going to let our Chief Financial Officer respond, please.
Okay, I just want to clarify.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Davidson. For eligible employers who qualified for the tax credits for the original period of time through December 31st, that was a reduction on the 941 employer tax return. Again, state government, including political subdivisions, were excluded from using the tax credit. However, there are qualifying COVID grants that could cover some of the cost. So that was through December 31st. For January 1st through March 31st, we would be using district monies to pay for the additional benefit. However, under ESSER 2, we will evaluate if that grant funding is eligible for this extended benefit.
So from what I'm hearing then, that it would actually come out of the district, but it's possible that it could come through a grant. But that's not for certain at this time?
President Sandoval, members of the governing board, as I mentioned last night, we are evaluating the opportunities under ESSER 2 with the additional funding that's available. With ESSER 1 and the grants that we were managing through the beginning of the fiscal year, the $4.2 million under ESSER 1 had been fully committed. So we'll report back if there is eligibility in the grant for ESSER 2 to pay for this employer-provided benefit. Again, there's some prescribed language on what's eligible within that grant funding. If not, the district will use local funds to pay for the benefit.
Okay, I understand. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hill. Mr. Sorensen?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Underhill?
The only question I had is would this be retroactive as well up to the beginning of the year?
President Sandoval, Ms. Underhill, that is correct. If approved tonight, we would look at it retroactively to the time in which we came back to work, which I believe was the 4th of January.
Great, thank you for that.
Thank you, Ms. Underhill. Ms. Pingerelli?
No questions.
Thank you, Ms. Pingerelli. There were a couple comments made as individuals spoke this evening, and first off, Dr. Davidson, Ms. Myers, district, thank you, for, working together to define ways, that we can continue to show that we respect and value every individual, our 4,000 plus, right, associates that we have here within the district. It is important. I think for me, this is the least we could do to make sure that they're supported, and they continue to feel that they work in environments that are safe, again, supportive and inspiring. So thank you for that. If no further questions or comments, I do need a motion to approve 10.1.
I move that we approve the motion of up to 80 hours of paid sick leave as a benefit of employment upon presentation of all of that in 10.1.
I'll second that. Ms. Contra, we have a motion by Ms. Underhill and a second by myself. Board members, please cast your vote. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, board members. Dr. Davidson, I believe you're on the next one, but I'll go ahead and announce it. 10.2, temporary increase to compensation for classroom coverage. We do have some public comment for this, Dr. Davidson.
And just as a point of order, President Sandoval, typically we would give our presentation with Dr. Davidson and then take public comment.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I didn't want to interrupt the last time. It was running smoothly, but
We did it backwards last time? Will,
there we
Dr.
go.
Davidson,
Thank you.
please.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
All right. Thank you, President Sandoval, members of the board, Dr. Reynolds. Again, with great excitement to come to you tonight to honor the work of our team. Right now, as it relates to classroom coverage, this is a long-standing practice in Peoria where we recognize individuals who are giving up their preparation periods to go cover classrooms. Uncovered classrooms, scenarios where educators may get sick and have to leave unexpectedly. There's a variety of ways that this, reasons why this would take place. Right now, our classroom coverage year over year, first semester, is up 16%. So we recognize that there's a great need, and I just want to say thank you to all of our team members out there who are working through this process. It's incredible, and as some of our educators have spoke tonight at the high school level, where many of our staff members are exceeding their FTEs essentially. It's a lot of work, and we appreciate them. What I'm asking for approval tonight is just a slight increase. It may look to our educators out there, oh, it's only a few dollars more per coverage, and what I'll tell you is that's going to add up. If the trend continues, it'll be roughly another $21,000 for second semester that we'd be asking for to support this increase. But for me, and working alongside our schools, our leaders, and our staff, it's money well spent, in my opinion. So with that said, I'll certainly stand for any questions. But again, this is to support an increase, a temporary increase in the amount that we pay for classroom coverage.
Thank you, Dr. Davidson. Board members, questions, comments? Ms. Hill?
Yes, I guess I just had a few questions for you. I was wondering exactly, once again, where would this money be coming from, this $21,000 possibly, or just, whatever the amount may be, where would those monies be drawn from?
Thank you, Ms. Hill, and President Sandoval. I'll turn it back over to Ms. Myers just to be certain of the response. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Davidson, President Sandoval, members of the governing board. We could use maintenance and operations monies to fund this increase. Again, we'll look at eligibility under ESSER 2 as well if this qualifies, but my initial comment would be maintenance and operations.
And I just want to clarify as well, obviously this is a temporary increase. Are we looking through to possibly end of March or possibly through the entire rest of the school year? Or what is the time frame that we're looking at for this limited increase?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Ms. Hill. And it is in the recommended action item, and I just say that just so that everybody sees it. But we are asking for this one through the end of the contract year for our teachers. Knowing that I do believe what we're seeing is going to be something we need to look at until the end of the school year.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Ms. Hill. Mr. Sorensen?
How did you come to this amount of increase?
Thank you, Mr. Sorensen and President Sandoval. Mr. Sorensen, I started with just a variety of figures. Started actually at 16%. Just knowing that 16% is what we were over at the given time, and then just began working some numbers. And due to the scale and the size of our district, the number of employees that are impacted, and I felt like this figure was something that could be managed and wouldn't be a big hit to the budget, but would be a sign of good faith and would support those team members that are going through this. So it was simply done through a variety of options that I then brought forward to our team.
And Dr. Davidson, if I may add, $25 aligns to the governing board amount that is approved for tutoring and certified extra duty, including curriculum writing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sorensen. Ms. Underhill?
I don't have any questions. I just appreciate the effort and finding that and putting this together. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Underhill. Ms. Pingerelli?
No questions.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Pingerelli. Yeah, agreed with Ms. Underhill. I think, once again, we are asking, certainly our sites and those on the front lines to go above and beyond during these times. And again, this is the right thing to do from a just leading with others in mind, without question. So thank you for that, Dr. Davidson, Ms. Myers, and district. That said, we do have a couple public comment that we'd like to get through before we run this through a vote. First public comment on this line item is from Mr. Frank Eager.
I'm not going to touch it, so he doesn't have to clean as much. President Sandoval, Dr. Reynolds, members of the board. Again, this is another thing I spoke earlier, and I'll be really quick about it. I know a lot of people who cover classes. I said earlier it would be a really nice thing for them, for that coverage. And I know it's even in the thing, as I've talked to Dr. Davidson a little bit about it and some other people, it is retroactive already for the year, so that's a good thing. For some teachers who already have done some coverage for the community, so they kind of know that as well, and that's a good thing. So I just can't say it enough. It's another thing that shows that appreciation out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Eager. Next public comment on this line item is, do you want me to press pause real quick so we can cleanse the podium? Are we good? Miss Molly Morris Gloucester.
Hi, thank you, members of the board. Again, I just want to echo that, first of all, teachers just are not paid enough. Most people in this district aren't paid enough for what they do in and out every day. It's amazing, from cafeteria to janitors, custodial staff, to teachers, to aides. Amazing work they do every day. I am a property owner, taxpayer of this district. I grew up in this district. I am happy to have my taxes go towards something like this, just for the record. And there are lots of people like me who are happy to be in this district and pay taxes and let the district pay their people and give them sick time. That is a good thing. It's good for all of us, the whole community. I hope you guys hear that. Everybody benefits. When people have sick time, the whole city benefits, the country benefits. When people get a pay raise, it's good for everybody. It's good for businesses. It's good so people can buy a house and pay back into your taxes. This is good. I will pay taxes till the day I die, and I will vote for this district if I'm in it. And I vote for the bonds, and I vote for the overrides. I want you guys to have what you need. I want my kids to have what they need. So just thank you, administration, for bringing this forward. It's a little thing. They need, they don't get paid enough, and we all really learned that lesson the hard way this year. So thank you. You have my support.
Thank you, Ms. Gloucester. Board members, I do need a motion to approve 10.2, temporary increase to compensation for classroom coverage.
I move to approve 10.2, temporary increase to compensation for classroom coverage.
I second.
Ms. Contra, we have a motion by Ms. Underhill and a second by Mr. Sorensen. Board members, please cast your votes. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, board members. Okay, we don't have any discussion items, so we will move right along to section 12, which are our informational reports. All these are on our website. 12.1, budget, facilities, planning, and construction report. 12.2 is the district budget report for the month of November 20th. Again, these are all on our website. 12.3, report on upcoming meetings and events. Ms. Ari, anything to call out there?
President Sandoval, members of the board, one quick upcoming item to bring to your attention. You all have received a message from one of our parents with the Peoria United Parent Council regarding their upcoming meeting where they were hopeful to introduce you all more formally to the parent group. I wanted to encourage you, if you take an opportunity to review that invitation, if you've not had an opportunity to respond, to let them know if you will be joining them. They're a dedicated group of parents that are certainly looking forward to highlighting your work. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Ms. Arian. Agreed. A nice conduit between the district and the community, and it's a great opportunity for board members to get to know them better. Thank you for that. Moving on to 12.4, legislative, state, and local updates. Ms. Myers.
Yes, well, good evening. President Sandoval, members of the governing board, Dr. Reynolds. It's official. The 55th legislature first regular session opened on Monday, January 11th for the House and Senate, and Governor Ducey gave his State of the State address virtually on the same day. The theme of the governor's speech was resilience, and much of the speech focused on the state's COVID response and where we go from here, including the vaccine rollout. Several programs, including telemedicine, COVID-19 liability protections, improving the health of our forests, criminal justice system reforms, and tax reform were discussed. In addition, broadband, closing the achievement gap, literacy, and school choice were also discussed as priorities which impact K-12 education. The governor thanked all of the frontline workers for helping in the fight against COVID-19 and ended his speech with the statement that the state of our state is not only strong, it is resilient. Administration will bring forward updates to the governing board as they become available during the legislative session. This concludes my report for the evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Myers.
President Sandoval,
Yes, sir.
if we could also just take a second, and although the top billing or top title will always be Peoria Governing Board member, we also want to thank Representative Pingarelli for serving our community in multiple ways.
Congratulations. Thank you for that, Dr. Reynolds. And congratulations, Ms. Pingarelli. Okay, moving on to section 13, other business. 13.1, board member opportunity to readdress agenda items. Board members, any items that you'd like to readdress? Ms. Hill?
I have nothing to discuss, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Sorensen?
No.
Ms. Underhill?
No, thank you.
And Ms. Pingarelli? Yep. I don't have anything either. All right, 13.2, request agenda items for future governing board meetings. Ms. Hill?
I have nothing at this time.
Okay. Mr. Sorensen?
Not at this time.
Ms. Underhill?
Not at this time, thank you.
Ms. Pingarelli? Yep. Ms. Contra, I have a couple. One is, and Dr. Davidson, and maybe you can help me kind of wordsmith this a little bit, but I'd like to, and this could be a Friday report, by the way. I'd like to understand what our student ratios are compared to our number of counselors, social workers, psychologists, what those look like today, and what they were, kind of pre-pandemic. And again, Friday report would be sufficient. Right. The other item I would like to discuss at a future board meeting is, as we take a look at what we're going through now as a country, but certainly as a district, I'd like to, one of the individuals who spoke today mentioned, our staff, our nurses, again, our counselors, our transportation, food service workers. I would like to take a look at an option or thought on providing a stipend, for all of our employee groups. So, Ms. Myers' team, Dr. Davidson, I guess that's the ask. If we could take a look at possibly providing a stipend for all of our employee groups across the district.
President Sandoval, if we could go back to your first Friday report.
Need a second on that one, don't I?
And potentially ask if there's another board member who would support that ask.
Good point. So the first one was the ratios between students and our counselors, social workers, psychologists.
Oh, second, Evan.
Thank you, Ms. Underhill. I'll now pause for a second, Ms. Contra.
Thank you, President Sandoval. I have that.
Okay. And the second one was asking the district to take a look at some ways that we can provide a stipend across all employee groups.
I'll second it too.
President Sandoval, would this be a Friday report item?
I think we can start there and then take it into a formal business meeting. So yes. So both are Friday reports.
Thank you for clarifying all that, President Sandoval. Appreciate
No,
it.
thank you for reeling me back in. I was trying to beat one of our record times, and I can't now because you called me out. Ms. Contra, you good?
Yes, sir, I am.
All right. So now I just need a motion to adjourn. I'll motion to adjourn this meeting.
A second.
Ms. Contra, we have a motion by myself and a second by Ms. Underhill to adjourn this meeting at 7:31. Board members, please cast your votes. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, board members, and thank you, everybody, for attending this evening. Cabinet, Dr. Reynolds, thank you.
Peoria Schools remains committed to providing an in-person learning opportunity for our students. But we will always be committed to ensuring that our schools are a safe place to learn and work. We continue to monitor our state and local community health data and balance that with the academic, social, and emotional needs of our students and staff. To create this balance, we are using a set of factors provided to us by Maricopa County as a tool for us to use as we keep our schools open to in-person learning. These factors include things like community spread and the academic and emotional well-being of students and staff, but they also include site COVID cases, outbreaks, and the percent of cases within a school. We will continue to monitor the absentee rate of students and staff and what impact quarantining and isolation are having on our classrooms and the learning that is taking place. As I work with building principals, their leadership teams, our COVID response team, and Maricopa County public health experts, it is important for our community to understand that if we determine that we need to pause in-person learning in a classroom, a grade level, or even a school, we will. I continue to stress to our community the importance of wearing masks, hand washing, staying at home when you're not feeling well, and now the importance of getting vaccinated. I want to thank the state of Arizona and Maricopa County for prioritizing teachers and schools staff in the vaccination process, and it will have a positive impact on our ability to continue to support our commitment to in-person learning. These are very difficult times, and as our community spread data continues to rise, the anxiety of being a staff member, a student, and a parent rises with it. Thank you for supporting our mitigation efforts and for supporting teachers and staff as they work every day to care for our children. And as always, thank you for choosing Peoria Schools.